Part 1. Rank E Hunter. Rank E Hunter, Seong Jin-woo. No matter where he went, this title always followed him around. Jin-woo's overall strength was almost the same as a regular human being, with the exception of being a bit stronger and his wounds healing slightly faster. Jin-woo was about the same as regular people in every other aspect. It was par for the course then, that he'd always end up getting injured. He nearly died several times, too. Of course, it wasn't as if Seong Jin-woo liked being a hunter. The work was dangerous, others made fun of him, and to confound the matters even further, the pay was pretty pathetic as well. If it weren't for the medical aid paid out by the Hunter Association to the hunters in their payroll, he'd have turned in his hunter license and quit by now, and live his life like a regular person. Unfortunately, someone like Seong Jin-woo, in his mid-20s and lacking in any tangible job skills, there was no other way but to remain as a hunter if he wanted to pay for his mother's hospital fee of millions of won every month. Should one say that he had no choice in the matter? That was why, even though he didn't want to, he simply had to participate in the raid, supervised by the association. Hunters operating within the same area tended to know each other pretty well. In the event of a gate opening up, all the hunters in that district would be asked to come. That's why the hunters who had arrived early sipped on the cups of coffee handed out by the association's employee and shared cordial greetings with each other. "Oh, hey, Mr. Kim, over here, here. Oh, Mr. Park, what are you doing here? I thought you were giving up on being a hunter." "Well, my wife is pregnant with our second child." "Ha ha ha ha, is that so?" "Yeah, for a hunter to earn big in one go, participating in a raid is the best, isn't it?" Mr. Kim jovially burst out in laughter. Mr. Park followed suit with a sheepish chuckle, before asking Kim, "By the way, why do I feel like that the association is calling on us less and less nowadays? Did the number of gates decrease or something?" Of course not. That's only because the guilds are getting all worked up over clearing the gates. It's got nothing to do with the association. I hear that various guilds are jumping in with both feet since there is big profit involved in this whole thing. Well, in that case, since this raid is being supervised by the association, it should be safe. No? Mr. Park took a glance around as if he was getting nervous. If a guild was not involved today, that meant there wasn't enough profit to be had. And if there wasn't enough profit to be had, then that could only mean that this particular gate's difficulty would be low. Of course, nothing in this world was 100% absolute. It wasn't just Mr. Park. Other hunters were nervously glancing around as well. I wonder. Mr. Kim finished the rest of his coffee while avoiding answering his friend before spotting a certain someone and raised his hand in happiness. He's here. Hey, Mr. Seong. Mr. Seong. Other hunters also displayed joy at discovering that young man. Hello. It was none other than Seong Jin-woo. Jin-woo performed a simple nod of the head at the joyous Mr. Kim and walked by. Confidently speaking up. So, Jin-woo showed up. Then it's going to okay today, too. Mr. Park's eyes widened up, and he hurriedly asked Kim, "What was that? Is that Hunter Seong Jin-woo really strong?" Right, of course. You wouldn't know who he is. He's a hunter who started working shortly after you left, you see. However, every hunter here knows who that kid is by now. He's really that strong? Wait, why is he working for the association then? Why not for a guild or as a freelancer? Kim sniggered some more before narrowing his eyes. "You know what that quiz nickname is?" "How should I know that?" "Come on, ma'am. Just tell me already. Humanity's weakest weapon. Weakest, not something like the ultimate weapon. Dude, that's the nickname for the rank's hunter Choi Jong-in. That kid is the weakest. Weapon, I'm pretty sure he's the weakest hunter in the Republic of Korea. Really? Park began frowning deeply. Why would other hunters greet this Seong Jin Woo if he was really that weak? After all, didn't they need someone to trust their backs if things went south? Park couldn't really understand the reactions of other hunters. When Park's head tilted this way and that, Kim chuckled and poked the side of Park with his elbow. The raid Seong Jin Woo participates in will only have low difficulty because he's so weak. The association would never entrust him with a tough job. Don't you get that? They don't want to see him get killed, right? Only then did Park's expression brighten up. All right, yeah. His wife was deeply worried about him since this would be his first raid in quite a while. Honestly, even he himself was worried too. However, now that he listened to Kim's words, he felt like a weight was lifted off his mind. Kim continued on. That guy, there was a rumor not too long ago that said he got injured participating in a raid of a rank E gate and spent a week in the hospital. A hunter got injured by a rank E gate. That's right. No one expected to see a hunter getting injured during a rank E gate raid, so they didn't even bring along a healer, apparently. That's why he spent a week in a hospital. Pooh ha ha ha. When Park began guffawing too loudly, Kim hurriedly hushed him. Stop it, man. Mr. Seong might hear you. Agu, I didn't think of that. Park cautiously checked Jin Woo's reactions as he continued to giggle. Thankfully, the distance was far enough, and the youth didn't seem to have heard them. Of course, they were mistaken. I can hear everything, you geezers. A bitter smile formed on Jin Woo as he tried hard to ignore them. At times like today, he couldn't help but blame his unusually acute sense of hearing. It seemed that he arrived too early and the raid was yet to commence. Did I arrive too early? Jin Woo looked around to while away the waiting time, spotted the association employee handing out warm coffee, and walked closer. Can I get a cup of coffee as well? Oh, Seong Jin Woo Hunter Nim. I'm really sorry, but we ran out of coffee just now. The cold winter breeze brushed past the tip of his nose. Jin Woo quietly wiped his nose with his index finger. What a sad day it was, for the coffee to run out as soon as it was his turn to get one. Why do you persist on being a hunter, Mr. Seong Jin Woo? I'm sorry. Jin Woo lowered his head and apologized. The young, beautiful girl using healing magic in front of Jin Woo, Yiju Hui showed how unhappy she was with a pouting expression. I'm not trying to get you to apologize, you know? I'm only worried about you. If you continue fighting this way, sooner or later, you'll be faced with a truly dangerous situation. Jin Woo glanced past Yiju Hui's shoulders and took a look at other hunters fighting over yonder. When one entered through the gate, one would arrive at a place called dungeon. The rank of this particular dungeon should be around D. A dozen plus hunters were taking care of the monsters inside this dungeon without so much as breaking a sweat. Unfortunately, for a rank E, such a feat was nearly impossible. Normally, the job of healing the injured hunters from the back fell on the healers. Since he always got injured during raids, Jin Woo was rather well known among the healers. Yiju Hui cautiously asked him, "Perchance, is there a reason why you can't give up being a hunter?" Jin Woo resolutely shook his head. He didn't want to reveal anything personal to other people. I'm only doing this as a hobby. If I don't do this, I'll probably die of boredom, actually. Yiju Hui pouted even more. If you continue on with this hobby of yours, soon you'd be raiding a dungeon in the netherworld, you know. Jin Woo was taken off guard from her remark and ended up chuckling out loudly. Thanks to that, Yiju Huey's nagging intensified. Don't laugh. Don't. Your injuries might get worse. Jin Woo giggled before asking her, "Where did you even learn to say stuff like that?" "Do you mean, where?" "It's from Mr. Kim Wei. Over there." "Agu, that Ajasi really went and did it, didn't he?" As they chatted and laughed, his treatment was almost over. It was already too late by then, though. It seemed that the raid was pretty much over now. Jin Woo's expression hardened. "I only killed a single monster today. A rank E creature, no less." Seong Jin Woo began fidgeting with the rank E magic crystal in his hand. The lowest grade magic crystal from a rank E monster fetched less than 100,000. One. For something he bet his life to earn, it was a pathetically small amount. Total just over $88. A magic crystal from a rank C monster can sell for over 10 million won, though. Total $18,830 plus. Too bad. A rank E hunter, such as himself, couldn't even attempt to kill a monster with a rank as high as C. Out of the blue, someone shouted out, "Hey, there's another entrance over here." The nearby hunters rushed over there. It's true. There really is another path. Just as that hunter said, there was an entrance hidden within the dungeon itself. A dual dungeon, is it? So, such a thing actually exists for real. Mr. Song, possessing over 10 years' experience as a hunter, looked into the hidden entrance and displayed how surprised he was. The interior of the hidden, cave-like passage was dark and nothing could be seen. Mr. Song activated his specialty, flame magic, and tossed it further forward into the passage. The flame flew forward and illuminated the interior. The passageway seemed to go on forever. Soon enough, the flame lost its forward momentum, fell to the ground and smoldered for a bit before flickering out of existence. The passage was shrouded in darkness once more. Everyone, gather around. Let's have a meeting. The unspoken leader of this raid, Mr. Song, called for other hunters to gather around. Jin Woo's treatment was over by then, so he and Yiju Huey also joined in. Song spoke up while sweeping his gaze over the gathered hunters. "As you know very well, a gate will not close unless the dungeon's boss is killed. Since the gate itself is still intact, even though we took care of all the monsters here, that can only mean that the boss is beyond that passageway." Song pointed towards the hidden entrance. Hunters exchanged meaningful glances and nodded their heads. No one could disagree with that notion. Song continued on. "Now, normally, we're supposed to relay this information back to the association and wait for their decision first, but if we do that, we might end up handing over the task of killing the boss to other hunters, and our takings for today's raid would decrease by a lot." The expressions of the hunters crumpled. Hark's face hardened more than anyone else, since he needed a lot of cash for his wife's pregnancy. Postnatal care eats up so much cash nowadays, you know. At this rate, there'd be no meaning behind him risking his life to participate in this raid. That's why I'd prefer if we took care of the boss before leaving this dungeon. So, what do you all think? Hunters fell into a deep contemplation. The truth was, no one here could figure out the current situation, and so their safety could not be guaranteed. However, the difficulty of this particular dungeon proved to be very low. So, the hidden dungeon within it couldn't have been that difficult either. Song coughed to draw everyone's attention to himself. "Since we have 17 people here, let's put this to a vote, shall we? Once this decision has been made, no one complains. So, how about it?" Others nodded their heads after hearing Song's suggestion. No one was disagreeing with him. "I vote for going ahead." Song raised his hand, and then other hunters began raising their hands one by one. Me too. Count me in as well. Park was the first to raise his hand, followed shortly after by Kim and a few other hunters. Of course, those disagreeing were plentiful. Let's go back. I feel that it'd be better to wait for the association's decision. The two opposing camps were neck and neck, and eventually, the final votes came down to Jin Woo and Yeju Hui. I'm sorry. Yeju Hui bowed to Song and added her vote to retreat camp. And so, the vote count for go ahead and retreat was at 8-8. A deadlock. Song asked the hesitant Seong Jin Woo next. And you, Mr. Seong. Chapter 2. Everything now depended on Seong Jin Woo's decision. Jin Woo's fingers grasped tight the rank E magic crystal in his hand as he took a glance. Next to him, Yeju Hui was shaking her head at him. It looked like she was deeply worried. Actually, Jin Woo was worried inwardly as well. Now normally, he would never try to take on any unnecessary risk. Not only did he lack the abilities to do so, but he was also not brave enough to. However, Jin Woo had a younger sister who was about to become a university student in the coming months. I've no money saved up. Currently, Jin Woo was 24 years old. He was at an age where he should be concentrating on his academic pursuits, but he gave up on that dream because, well, he had no money. He sure as hell didn't want his little sister to go through the same sacrifice, the same pain as he did. Right now, every cent was precious to him. It wasn't only Mr. Park who needed a big score today. Jin Woo raised his hand up high. I vote for going ahead. It was then he heard a soft sigh of resignation coming from his side. Part 2. The Dual Dungeon. The passageway went on and on forever. In front, Mr. Song and other strong hunters had taken the lead. Song had summoned a small flame on top of his palm to illuminate the way forward. Mr. Kim asked him as he walked alongside Song. We've walked really far, haven't we? Shouldn't we consider the time we need to escape from here as well? How long have we been walking? Kim looked at his wristwatch. Around 40 minutes. A gate shuts down completely 1 hour after the boss is killed, so we have a window of 20 minutes left or so. If we can't see the boss in the next 20 minutes, I suggest that we should just give up. I quest so. Song nodded his head for a while before pointing to his back with his thumb. Mr. Kim, it's dark out in front, so why don't you position yourself behind me? Kim stared at Song's flames for a second or two before he wordlessly pulled out his smartphone and switched on the screen. And then the passageway got illuminated rather brightly. Song alternated his gaze between his flame and the smartphone before he too wordlessly began searching for his own phone. The very back of the group was the spot reserved for Seong Jin Woo, who was injured pretty badly not too long ago, and Yeju Hui, who didn't possess any combat skills whatsoever. Jin Woo scratched the back of his neck. Pardon me, I'm really sorry. About what? About, dragging you here against your wishes. I'm fine with it, so Vu don't need to mind me. Jin Woo cautiously studied Ju Hui's expression. She definitely did not look fine at all. Jin Woo tilted his head this way and that while trying to read her mood better before he asked her again, even more cautious than before. Are you really fine? That prompted Ju Hui to shift her gaze towards him. Of course I'm not. Are you of a sane mind? If you were stabbed a couple of inches higher, you'd have a hole in your heart by now. And what about those injuries on your arms and legs? I worked so hard to heal you somehow. Yet you wish to throw yourself into yet another dungeon? Plus, you don't even know where we're going to. She spoke so quickly that Jin Woo felt like his mind was getting numb from hearing her. However, she was right about everything. If it weren't for the presence of the outstanding healer ranked B, Yiju Hui, Jinwoo wouldn't have been able to carry on living unaffected. Never mind working as a hunter. It was a small wonder why such high-ranked and hard-to-find healers were valued so greatly within the halls of the association. Wait, now that I think about it, I owe Miss Ju Hui a lot, don't I? Ju Hui was a healer-type hunter, a rarest of the rare breeds. Not only that, she was a genius ranked at B as well. The association always asked her to heal the injured hunters whenever a gate opened up. And whenever Jin Woo participated in a raid, he'd almost always end up sitting down next to her. Are you in pain? Please hold on for a little while longer. Haven't I seen you before? By any chance, are you the person from the last time? You're injured again. It's like we're running into each other quite often nowadays, isn't it? You said that your name is Mr. Jin Woo? Well, is it going to be all right? Maybe, this life of a hunter doesn't really suit you. You're here again. Show me your arm. No, not that one. Use bandages on that arm. I meant the other one, with the bone fracture. At the moment, it was way past the point of Jin Woo feeling grateful for everything she had done, and firmly into the territory of him being apologetic for inconveniencing her. When Jin Woo looked dispirited, Ju Hui also felt a bit bad about scolding him just now and... You're really sorry? Yes, I am. Ju Hui fell into a deep contemplation for a bit, before she began gazing at him with the corner of her eyes, and her lips slowly arched up. If you're really sorry, then how about you buy me dinner sometime? Now that was a totally unexpected offer. Jin Woo looked at her with an expression of surprise and found a teasing smile etched on her face like a teenage girl. A teen girl, huh? The truth was, Ju Hui was still a young girl who had barely entered her 20s. Didn't she say that she'd be 21 next year? If her long hair was replaced with something shorter, and her current attire was swapped out for a school uniform, she'd completely look like high school senior. His wandering mind pictured the image of Ju Hui in a school uniform, and his face reddened up somewhat. When Jin Woo hesitated with his answer, Ju Hui's cheeks began puffing up like a balloon. What the? You don't want to buy me dinner? It happened right then. Suddenly, it became quite hectic out in front. We found it. It's the boss chamber. Jin Woo and Ju Hui's gazes automatically shifted to the front, and they saw a huge stone door blocking the passage. Hunters immediately surrounded this door. What is this? Why is there a door at the end of the cavern? Have we ever encountered a boss chamber with a door before? Doesn't this feel strangely dangerous? Hunters began to express their doubts and fears one at a time. Since their own lives were on the line here, they had to be cautious and meticulous. However, if one were to become too cautious, one would end up failing to grasp the heaven-sent opportunity in the first place. Mr. Song figured this was one such case. Are you all planning to return empty-handed after coming this far? Song placed his hands on the door. If that's what you want, knock yourselves out. I'm pushing ahead, even if it means I'll be going alone. Song was a rank C hunter with 10 years of experience. If it weren't for his age, which was over 60, he'd be making a killing in a big guild by now, thanks to his excellent skills. And when a hunter like that voiced his opinion with such confidence, others began to feel less anxious than before. Wait a minute. A couple of hunters began recalling rumors of dual dungeons. I heard that there are incredible treasures hidden within dual dungeons. Yeah, I heard that a certain small to medium guild found a dual dungeon and grew into a large guild almost overnight. Monsters inside a dungeon always possess roughly the similar ranks no matter where they are located, so the hunt itself should not be too difficult. What if there were incredible treasures hidden with the dual dungeon, just as the rumors said, and the monsters beyond this door were about the same difficulty as the rank DE creatures they fought until now? I can't let that old man monopolize all the treasure. No freaking way. Postnatal care, the school fee for the firstborn kid, and let's not forget, this month's rent is almost due too. The opinions of the hunters were now on the same page. Jinwoo, too, steeled himself. I can't return home with just a single rank E magic crystal. At a bare minimum, I gotta kill a rank D, no, one more rank E monster. It didn't even have to be a monster, if it's treasure instead. Treasures or rare loot found in a dungeon would normally be divided equally among all the participants in a raid. It was quite a different way of sharing the rewards, where one could only take possession of magic crystals one procured by themselves. If we score big today, then things might improve at home for a while. Jinwoo nervously swallowed down his saliva. Ju Hui saw his determined expression and asked him, "Is that how the expression of someone who's a hunter as a hobby looks like?" Jinwoo shrugged his shoulders. Who'd bet their lives in their main line of profession nowadays? Unless it's a hobby. Obviously. Eh? Just as a dumbfounded expression formed on Ju Hui's face, Song pushed the dungeon's door and it creaked open. There must have been some sort of mechanism installed on the heavy-looking door, since the physical strength of a 60-year-old man was enough to easily open it. Slam! Now that the door was wide open, the huge open interior revealed itself. Hunters hurriedly rushed in. "Let's go in as well." Jinwoo feared that he'd fall behind, so he grasped Ju Hui's hand and took the lead. Ah! Ju Hui's face reddened slightly as she followed after him. As soon as hunters sat foot inside, flames erupted on the numerous torches packed tightly on the walls all at the same time. Thanks to that, the interior brightened up considerably. What's the heck? The lights came on by themselves. First time seeing a dungeon like this one. Something's different about this place. Hunters cautiously studied their surroundings. The overall atmosphere of the place was similar to that of an ancient temple. Not only that, an old and somewhat decrepit temple, something that might be buried and hidden beneath the ground. Moss and weed could be seen sporadically on the floor, walls, and the ceiling. Several hunters shrunk back and shuddered slightly. It's a bit creepy in here, isn't it? Doesn't it feel like we're being watched by someone? Leaving behind the scared hunters, the 3-4 strongest of the group went in deeper. Tesk, don't say something that might jinx us, will ya? Let's end this quickly and go home. The interior was nonsensically huge. The chamber was shaped like a giant dome. It was as large as several Olympic stadiums. The one found in Seoul were put together now. Maybe it was even bigger than that. However, one couldn't help but feel that it was still inadequate. The reason for that was rather obvious. That thing over there. And no freaking way that thing's the boss, right? In the deepest part of the dome, something so defyingly humongous sat on a throne, just as big as itself. It was none other than a huge stone statue of a god. Oh my god. Wow. Shocked gasps leaked out from the hunters. The first image popping up in Jinwoo's head was of the Statue of Liberty in New York. If that statue sat down on a chair, wouldn't it be as big as that statue of the unknown god? Well, Liberty was a woman, while the one sitting on the throne was a dude, though. No, hang on. Maybe it's even bigger than that. Hunters began nervously swallowing their saliva near the foot of the god statue. Baton and heavy apprehension and anxiety were clear to see on their faces. as they worried about this statue being the dungeon's boss. However, the statue did not budge an inch. What a fortunate thing that was. Phew. Even Song spat out a sigh of relief. Okay, everyone, spread out. Now that they found some leeway, hunters split among themselves and began searching around the vicinity. I don't think there's a single monster in here. You think so, too? Never mind a monster. I can't even see a single bug, too. The chamber of the stone god statue might have been massive, yet its actual inner structure was on the simpler side. On the walls, countless torches could be found there. And in front of these walls, more stone statues, slightly taller than a human being, stood. Tall and unmoving. There were lots of them here as well, found at a certain distance from one another. They are all rather beautiful, aren't they? It's like they are works of art. No. Objects held by each of the stone statues were varied and different. Some held weapons. There was one with a book. Some carried musical instruments and even torches. It's as if they are like statues of a holy temple or something. Song finished what Kim wanted to say. Then, Song found something beneath his feet. Isn't this a magic formation? He found a magic formation that he had never seen before located in the middle of this temple. It was then. Excuse me, Mr. Song? Aujasi, something's written here. Can you come over here and take a look? One of the hunters discovered a statue that was different from others and called out to Song. Song stopped studying the magic formation and got up from the floor. Other hunters all gathered around the statue Song was headed off to. Only this statue featured a pair of wings and carried a stone slate. What the hunters focused on was the letters carved into this slate. Song took a sweeping look at the slate and muttered to no one in particular. It's rune alphabet. The rune alphabet. Words that could not be found anywhere on Earth and found only within dungeons. Only the hunters who had awakened the magic-related professions could decipher them. The laws of the Karutenin Temple. Song read the very first verse. With a deeply nervous face, Jin Woo listened to the contents of the slate, as read out by Miss D. Song. However, someone suddenly tugged at his arm. When he looked back, he spotted Ju Hui and her deathly pale complexion.